Welcome to Light It Up, a podcast about resilient women balancing motherhood, their careers, personal lives, and all of the challenges that come along with being a superwoman. Each week, you'll be motivated to take action to lead, inspire, transform, and empower. Now, here's your host, Dr. Aginah M. Good morning. I want to thank you for tuning in to another episode of Light It Up. I am so excited about today's episode because I have joining me again Samantha Swain, who is an author, a coordinator of anthologies. She's published numerous books, and you guys may recall that she was on a few months ago with several authors who contributed to Domestic Violence, Love Was a Battlefield, Stories of Survivors. Well, this week, we're going to talk about a brand new anthology that is being released really soon this month, during the month of September. And that book is book 2 of a series on domestic violence, and it is called Domestic Violence: Survivors of Sexual, Physical, Psychological, and Financial Abuse. So welcome, Samantha Swain.
Hi!
So glad to have you back. It seems like you've been very
Thank
busy.
Well, yeah, and things that can't be imagined, and this domestic violence too started off very well. One day, one by one, writers started dropping out. Yeah, they couldn't handle the demons, that was facing them by sharing what they could share.
Mm-hmm.
And I asked the one writer who was hanging on the edge, I said, look, this is what is needed. Do you know anyone? And she said, I got you. And sure enough, she had me. She grabbed a hold of someone, and wow, whoa, wow. And she submitted her part, and I learned with the first one not to read too far into it because it's too emotionally taxing. And she started off her part with saying, the devil you know. I said, well, okay. Well, I had to sit down and get my juice, and I felt like a kid caught with the hand in the cookie jar because from that alone, I wanted to keep reading.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm glad she made it out. She's a soldier.
So tell me, with this anthology, well, first of all, for our listening audience who may not know, okay, I know I mentioned that you are an author, you've published several books. How did you transition from, publishing your own work to then coordinating these anthologies where you are now responsible for producing, in many cases, first time published authors? How did you?
I don't even remember. It was just one day. America was put in a position to where they were living different, just, and I was listening to stories that were shared amongst other people, and I said, wow, this is maybe something that could save somebody. I, in a way that I can't imagine because I'm not a victim
Mhm.
and hope to never be. But not knowing that it would climb the way that it's climbing. And I mean, the ones that initially stepped forward were gun ho until I explained the difference between fiction and nonfiction, and that they would have to share their true stories. Then, that one day, one by one, they were dropping out. They didn't want to face that. So they weren't ready. You have to be ready. And I couldn't argue with them. Uh, and I just let it go. But I told myself, no, 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 not this easily,
Mhm.
because people then wanted to read about themselves. And I think that's very interesting. I come from Chicago, and there are three things that they do very well: they play bid whist, they play chess, and they step. So, it's hard for them. It's hard to come across a potential writer. And as a solo writer, I'm in a lane by myself, and I don't mind that at all. I write true crime, and when I would go to meetings with other writers, I would purposely put my name as Sam because they were not expecting a female.
Mhm.
Yeah. And so that worked. I saw how it drew attention to me just with a name change. And so I I picked some difficult topics on purpose because, like I said, I knew people were living differently, with the stay at home orders and, mandates and all that stuff, and how difficult their life must be, and not knowing that it would come at me the way that it has. And there was even also coming out in September is another anthology on narcissism. I can hardly say that word, so excuse me.
Mhm.
But I had the perfect two writers. Oh man, they were perfect and ready. And wouldn't you know, when all of this started to take place, one of the writers, her mom passed away. And oh, oh, my heart just, I can't explain. So that became a game of trying to find replacements.
Mhm.
And one of the writers, see, people don't know unless you really know me. I am a psychologist.
Mhm.
And so she became, she started to expose remnants of what the topic of the book was about. And sure enough, she dropped, hey, the other writer, she said, I got you. She is, I forget her title,
Mm-hmm.
but she grabbed somebody. The lady said, oh, yeah, oh, yeah, I want to share my story. And I said, see, all of the anthologies that I have picked, the topics that I've picked, um, people find out that they now want to read about it, but they don't want to write about it. They don't want to expose their story. Understand?
Let me
Understand?
ask you, how do you, so what characteristics or qualities are you looking for from those individuals that are going to contribute to the anthology? So what exactly are you looking for?
Nothing in paper, nothing in black and white.
Mm-hmm.
All primarily inexperienced because I want people to read that there's somebody who's going through or had went through something similar to what they are going through. And one anthology that I am having a difficult time with, but yet the guy that's on standby, he is I I haven't lost him, but it's an anthology on mental illness in men.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we go about our day and we know so and so is a little different. That's all we say. It's a little different. But he got some issues,
Mm-hmm.
that is certifiable, you know. And I don't want to leave him hanging. And I had one man to step forward, and I'm thinking, oh, geez, here we go. And then he said, I can't do it. That was an attack on his manhood. And I'm like, dude, you got the issues. So, don't you, I left it alone.
Mm-hmm.
And judge on divorce court, Judge Toller, um, her father, untreated all his life, was psychosis. And she said it was nothing for her father to walk in the room and shoot a gun after he had spent time calling somebody's name to come here. Now, see, we pass that as commonplace, but that's not commonplace. And she said, the reason why her mother and her sister made it out okay is because they kept everything the same. Her parents, old school.
Mm-hmm.
So her mother knew to keep things the same. And I admire the fact, I don't know anybody who can say this. Her sister is a surgeon, and well, she's a judge. But do you know they went to top colleges? Her father paid. They graduated college with no balance. Who does that? Who in the world does that? But see, men like her father don't exist anymore.
Mm-hmm.
They just don't. And so that'll be a hard one for me to feel. But I'm very hopeful, and I like that the one guy that's on standby, it holds on because he got some stuff to say.
So,
And go ahead.
so let me ask you this because I want to kind of stay on task to make sure that everybody's following. With with this third book, well, with the book on mental illness in men, that one is on standby because you're waiting.
Yes,
Okay.
yes,
So, when you are coming up with these topics for the anthologies and you're looking for authors, what's your process? Do you talk to them about the importance of being transparent and how, um, some of these topics, if it's something that they've experienced, if they're going to have to be able to work through that as
yeah.
they're writing?
I like how you put that. And transparent is a perfect word. And that is something that I stress, being that they're inexperienced writers.
Mm-hmm.
And that is that becomes the hardest part for them to get past. And it's as if they write with their eyes closed. It's like jumping double dutch. They just approach it and they wait for their turn, and because you never know if you're gonna get hit by the rope.
Right.
And I, under the circumstances, I do explain that they are able to write under a pen name. Domestic violence too,
Mm-hmm.
they want their real name.
Wow. Okay.
Exactly, exactly. I'm like, soldiers, they just,
Now,
oh,
for the domestic violence too. Now, I know in the first book, "Love Was a Battlefield," you had one male contributing author. In the
yes.
second book, in book two, what's the gender demographics? Is it all women or is it
Yes,
okay?
yes. And which is fine.
Mm-hmm.
That's fine. And there I know someone who, I tried to scoop her up.
Mm-hmm.
She recently got a job. It's not much, but it's her job. And I recently saw old pictures of her. And yeah, she wants to get back to where she was. She wants that look. See, when you start going through things, your look changes. And it's, I'm glad she got the job, and it will be just a matter of time before she can get back to what she wants to be. I'm so happy for her on that. And nobody seems to, at least they're not saying it, but no one knows the difference between her old pictures and where she's at now.
Hmm.
And, you know, who am I to explain it? That's not my business, but I see her. I can see her and I understand her. You know, it'll happen. It'll happen.
So I'm not, I need to be able to follow you. When you say that, so are you saying that because she's sharing her story or has been writing her story that she's able to get back to a place that she once was? I, you,
Yes,
okay.
yes. Because now she has a voice.
Hmm.
She didn't have a voice. She went 5 years maybe not being heard and not being seen the way she should have been seen.
Hmm.
And I she likes when I talk to her because she says I see her differently. She notices that, um, I mean, on her old pictures, nails done, hair done, it, okay, okay, okay. Now she fell off. She, for whatever reason and however that happened, I'm not judging, and that could be why she says that she likes the way that I talk to her because I'm not judgmental. I see you, girl. That's all I can say to her. I
Hmm.
see you, girl.
So it sounds like, I mean, I know I mean, I've only had an opportunity to talk to the authors from the first anthology. And I
Hmm.
know that when we went through, when we had our conversation, that you could tell that there's still a lot of, for some, raw emotions from, their different experiences. And so it's really interesting to see how people deal with different things, even if they experience some type of traumatic situation years ago.
Hmm.
You just never know when the trigger, what may trigger a certain emotion um,
Exactly.
out of a person. And so as you with domestic violence survivors of sexual, physical, psychological, and financial abuse, what without giving away too much, obviously, and I know the book is going to be available on Amazon,
Yes, ma'am.
what do you hope for readers to gain from reading these different stories? Can you give us just kind of like a snippet synopsis?
I want them to know that they too have a voice that needs to be heard. They don't have to yell. They, I understand the gravitation. You know, when you find someone, a friend, uh, stick with that person. You know, don't be so, changing friends like you're in high school. And, you know, from the first anthology group on domestic violence, I was blown away when one of the writers told me, and I was, if I could get up and just shut the computer down, I forget how it goes, but the people that raised her are not her parents.
Mm-hmm.
How about that?
Yeah.
Whoa, whoa. And two people that you should have respect for, and it is the life that people have lived is just, in a lot of ways, goes over my head. But I see them. I see them individually, and it's so much dysfunction with the pandemic. Uh, Things are out of sorts, even with Amazon, even with, I mean, I am needing something from Cook County,
Mm-hmm.
not realizing the government offices have been shut down. Yeah, it's like this nation, and I have a cousin who is a doctor in Texas, and she's the youngest COO of the hospital, and of course, the only black.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, cousin, she said, January, easy. I, I said, we had to be stuck until January. She said, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And I don't know when people are gonna come to that grip of reality.
Right, right. Just, and I am not a person who watches the news,
Mm-hmm.
but in having the remote in my hand, I'm flickering, went past the news, and there is a county here in Georgia that they have to, it's such an issue for parents sending their kids to school or not sending their kids to school. And they have it to where certain districts go on Monday and Wednesday, Tuesday and Thursday. And, I'm like, wow, whoa. So, when I think about people involved, victims of domestic violence, for example, they are stuck in the house with,
With their abuser.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, stuck. And so I had to ask one day, I said, has anybody had any tactical training? Now, I don't want nobody to be hurt,
Right.
but you know, um, how do you fend for yourself? How do you do that? Um, how, just how is my only question. And, they've been scrapping for so long, is everything is day by day or minute by minute for some. And I just, wow, whoa.
So let me ask you, how long does it take for these books? I know that trying to account for some of the setbacks or maybe authors not meeting deadlines, but typically, how much time do you give your contributing authors to get their story into you so that it could go to editing and production?
I try to be reasonable, generous with time, because everyone seemingly has a life outside of writing. So I always start with a month, you know, um, depending on how many is on an anthology. Uh, it could be a month and a half. It just kind of all depends.
Okay. And then, so because I get a lot of folks now who will ask me about self publishing um, or becoming an author. And my question to you is um, how does one's, I guess, contribution to an anthology, do you think that that is a great way to kind of get your foot or your feet wet as far as becoming a published author? Is that a
It
route?
depends on where they want to go with it. For starters, some people, depending on the topic that they're writing on, just want their voice to be heard. Now, in the midst of everything going on, I find out who wants to continue to be a writer. And I try to find a spot for them, and I tell them, follow me, and we'll get you to where you need to be. And there, thus far, maybe four people have decided that they want to continue to be a writer, not knowing that that is something that they could do. And I think that's superb. I mean, in my from my view, here you are, an inexperienced writer writing on something that people not only want to read, but they're reading for a purpose. And this is something that you can do, and I offer information when I receive it
Mm-hmm.
for book signings, for them to branch, you know, and that's what they need. If they want to, they want to. If they don't have to. Um, I think it's an experience that puts something on their mind, not knowing that that's something they can do.
Do you all have any like virtual book signings scheduled for this anthology for book two on domestic violence yet?
No. The closest book signing is not until I go on sight unseen. I think it's September or October of next year, which at this rate is quickly approaching.
So you're not doing any virtual? Any
No.
virtual? Okay. Okay.
And I ask, if you all who wants to go.
Hmm.
And because in maybe 2 books from now, I want to have a table of all anthologies. I want to be the one to provide something that people secretly want to read about. Yeah, I think that would be just a-okay.
So is your focus now to only coordinate anthologies and produce authors? Are you going to write any
No,
solo books?
no. I'm actually, and looking at this desk, I've started my next solo book, my next true crime. It will be my fourth book, but at this rate, I might as well clear 2020 with anthologies.
Mhm.
And I think so far, so good.
So, for anyone who's listening or viewing this episode of Light It Up, if they're interested in becoming an author, and if there's a topic that they'd like to write about, should they reach out to you to see if it's a topic that you would be interested in coordinating an anthology, or what?
Yes, yes,
How can
yes.
they get in touch with you?
Um, if they want to email me, I'm at Sam Swain underscore PI at yahoo.com. I'm also on Instagram and LinkedIn under my own name. And if they want to reach out, please. Of course, Facebook, they can drop, people do come up with ideas.
Mhm.
And there were some that I've had to turn away because no, no, no. That's all I can say. But on Facebook, if they want to, I'm also under my name. If they want to inbox me, that's a great way. Um, just find me. Even on Amazon, find me. I will hear you out. And of course, if you're coming to me with an idea, I may ask you to, are you going to follow up?
Mhm.
Are you going to be a writer? Because there are some people that have written or inboxed me on Facebook. But then when I say, are you in it to win it? Are you going to be a writer? Then they, no, 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 no. Oh, see, you didn't wasted your time and mine. So,
So your preference would be to work with individuals who are interested in more
well,
than just the
yes,
one-offs.
yes, because more than likely they know someone. If I can get 2 to 3 people on that same topic, you in it to win it.
But then how do you, I guess my question is, if you're writing about, let's say, a specific topic that has to do with maybe some type of experience that you've had, right? So you
Hmm.
write about that topic. Um, do you kind of continue to write on this? Is the expectation for them to continue to write on the same topic, or to expand and write on other topics related to non-fictional events that have occurred? I guess that's what I'm trying to understand, because some of these topics are like real life events. So
Yes.
you would have to be committed to being a non-fictional writer, right?
Yes.
Um,
Hmm.
but what if, that's not, they just want to tell this one story? Or do you encourage them to continue to talk about the same topic?
First of all, if you're approaching me because you want an anthology done on this particular topic and it had not been covered yet, and I made it my business to cover some challenging topics, then I can't help you. Now, two anthologies that have come my way: rape, because that can be men or women, and PTSD. Doesn't have to be military reasoning. And um, so we'll see come next month, you know, if I can put something together for that. But uh, being that it's September, those two topics will be cover the year. I'll be done. I'll pass the baton off to the next author, and yeah, it's interesting. It's
Okay.
interesting.
It sounds like you got your hands full for the rest of the year and quite busy. Uh,
Yes, ma'am.
I don't know how you're able to keep up and do it all because I have not, just from my own as an author, I haven't been able to sit down to write anything for
Oh no. Well,
I've been
because
busy promoting other authors.
okay, thank you. But it's I have to find the time because eventually these anthologies will end for
Mhm,
me.
mhm,
Um, and I can see why it has not worked for anyone else because it is a handful. I know a couple of authors who tried it, didn't work out. Well, see, I I am the most positive vibe person that I know. So it's I know how to separate, and it could be because the degree in psychology, you know, it could be from my upbringing. Um, all those things add up to my level of positivity. Now, there are times when I'm so glad that people can't see me. I'm so glad, but uh, I see them, and I will point you in the right direction for whatever ails you. If I could be nothing other than a resource, I will be that resource. And in fact, today I put it out there that I'm compiling a list of people. Inbox me to let me know what state you're in and what you need help with. If people just need to be partnered up with, you don't have to know the person to need help. You just need help. And there are people that are going through some things, and I'll be that relief. So I got multiple things going on, and that's fine. I'm writing my fourth true crime book. I am coordinating the anthologies. I also have a board game that I'm working on that I've designed. Um, a wine. How
okay.
about that? And yeah. How about that? And the twins, Tia and Tamara.
Hmm. Yeah.
Okay. One of them, I get them confused. I think it's Tamara, is married to the man who has a winery. He's from a family that has a winery. Well, boom, that's who I'm going through.
Hmm.
And what helps, when I reached out, her mother is from the islands where I used to live. So, hey, hey, cousin, and that was my foot in the door. But then the pandemic started, and nothing could be moving, and how cool it would be to go into a liquor store and my wine is there. I have a name, have a design, and when I came up with the board game, hashtag true crime is the name of the board game. And sure enough, that's when Jeffrey the giraffe of Toys R Us, they closed the Toys R Us, and they went through their whole thing. So that shut me down. And then I was sent an email, very nice email, from one of the executives of Hasbro who do all the board games. To He put me in very good hands. So, hey, I get tired,
Hmm.
and but I'm still writing, and finishing off the year with anthologies. And man, oh man, I remember when 2020, everybody was doing their New Year's resolution, whatever you call it, and this year was supposed to be their year. Well, now, I'm for next year. I, you know, with all this kerfuffle being over with, I I'm gonna hit the ground running because I have too much, too much that I've, man,
Well, it sounds like you've got your hands full and you got a lot of things for us to look forward to. So, the book again, Domestic Violence Survivors of Sexual, Physical, Psychological, and Financial Abuse, will be out in September,
yes, ma'am,
available on Amazon. And if
yes, ma'am,
anyone is interested in either pitching an idea to you about an anthology or
yes, ma'am,
getting into writing, they can
yes,
certainly
ma'am,
reach out to you. They can find you on social media, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn.
yes, ma'am, yes,
Or they
LinkedIn,
can email you at samswain_pi@yahoo.com.
that's me.
Is there anything in closing that you'd like to share with the listening audience?
Nothing that I haven't already said. It's just a pleasure to speak with you, and I thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Always a pleasure. Looking forward to the book being released. I'll be looking out for it and checking it out on Amazon. So you keep doing what you do as far as helping to produce these authors, because I always say everybody has a story to tell. It's
And
just,
they do.
yeah, it's just whether or not they are willing to share their story
Correct.
with others.
Correct.
So
Correct. Correct.
I appreciate you for what you're doing for all of those folks who are willing participants as far
Yes, ma'am.
as sharing their story, because hopefully
Thank you.
their story will help someone else.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
You're
Thank you. Thank you.
so,
Oh,
yeah.
one more thing.
Mhm,
I used to work for Paradise Shops,
mhm,
which is the bookstore in major airports.
mhm.
How cool it would be to have all the anthologies sold in a bookstore at an airport. And not that I got pulled, but I got pulled. So, and they, this will be something that would just be amazing. Whoever it wants to share their story, that question will come up. The airport that's closest to them, and I'll try to get the book there.
Well, if anybody can make it happen, it's you, Sam Swain. Well, thank you so much for joining me today on Light It Up. And I will be, I'm sure, talking to you soon.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much for taking time to talk to us today and to tell us about all of the great things that you're doing and what we should be looking out for from you within the next few weeks.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks for joining me this week on Light It Up. Make sure you visit my website at www.lightituppodcast.com or www.aginahmuhammad.com. You can also find me on social media using the handle at Light It Up Podcast. If you like what you've heard, please be sure to hit the subscribe button so you'll never miss a show. While you're at it, I'd appreciate a rating on iTunes, or you can simply tell a friend about the show. Be sure to tune in every Tuesday for a new episode. Until next time, light it up and shine bright like a diamond.